Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Before the cops arrived there, then they had the cooks come out. The cooks come out the back. They're trying to intimidate me, getting close to me as well, and I'm pointing at them. I'm being not overly loud, but I'm being stern with them, and I'm making a point to everybody else in the restaurant. Look, they're trying to get me to wear a mask. They're not standing 6 feet apart, and then they're trying to enter my space.
For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini, joined virtually with Deven Taylor. Deven, we featured your story as a welding professor at Fanshawe College in London a few weeks back. And that's a story in and of itself, so please check that out at rebelnews.com. But Deven also has come into the Rebel as a Fight the Fines case. So Deven, you were fined, it looks like $500 on November 20th at a local pub, the Alibi Roadhouse, under the mask bylaw in London, PH-20. Section 10. Now, it's funny because I was in London investigating when I did your story and the story of the other woman who was forcibly removed by mall security at White Oaks Mall. And this ticket seems to allude to, so it says Section 10, which of course enforces the mask mandate, but it simultaneously ignores Section 12, which outlines mask exceptions or exemptions. So there's from A to G, so that's 7 different mask exemptions that they outline very clearly in this bylaw. And then, of course, Section 13 states that no person shall be required to provide proof of any of the exemptions set out in Section 12. So it's as though the same thing that I've been finding with this mask mandate business is that it's so heavily enforced on one side with complete disregard for the other side. Can you comment at all about your experience in that regard?
Yeah, so I've seen that a lot of times they like to only enforce one side, like you mentioned, whereas they almost don't even acknowledge that the other parts exist. And I've never seen in any store where they have actually put that part of the bylaw on to make other people aware that it's actually possible to have exemptions outside of a medical condition signed off by a doctor. And they also should state that you don't have to prove your exemption.
Deven, what was the altercation like with police or when you entered Alibi? Just give us a rundown of that situation again. I know we touched on it when I interviewed you, but for any viewers who missed that video, maybe they'd like to hear from you again.
Okay. Well, the altercation was kind of funny, actually. I just walked in the door, and within 2 to 3 feet of getting in the door, the employee wants to just stand up, yell at me, right? It's almost like they're looking for an excuse to tell other people what to do. They're on a severe power trip, right? If they don't see you with a mask and they can tell you to wear a mask, they jump right up to it. So that's what happened. I walked in, he jumps up, tells me, "Oh, you have to have a mask on in here. You're not allowed in without a mask." I said, "What do you mean I'm not allowed in?" And I told him I have an exemption. It's okay. I'm going to go in. I'm going to go play pool. And I go, "No, we're not honoring exemptions at this time." And I couldn't help but laugh. And I says to him, "Well, it doesn't work that way. You have to honor exemptions." "No, we don't have to." And then it kind of into a back and forth. And then I straight up told him, I says, "Well, now we're in a pickle here." I says, "Your mandate says you have to stand 6 feet from me, but it also says I have to wear a mask. How are you going to get me to leave?" He said, "You're not honoring my exemption right now." "Oh, well, we're going to call the cops then." I said, "Well, you go right ahead. You call the cops because they're supposed to enforce the entire mandate." Before the cops arrived there, then they had the cooks come out. The cooks come out the back. They're trying to intimidate me, getting close to me as well, and I'm pointing at them. I'm being not overly loud, but I'm being stern with them, and I'm making a point to everybody else in the restaurant. Look, they're trying to get me to wear a mask. They're not standing 6 feet apart, and then they're trying to enter my space, right? So they're just total hypocrites when it boils right down to the point. And then the police came. When they entered the door, it ended up being the same thing. He grabbed me right away. I says, "Listen, what are you doing?" "Oh, no, you're coming with us." And I says to everybody, "Look at here. Like, they're supposed to be 6 feet from me. They're dragging me out the door. They're on both my arms. They're, oh my God, look at here. I'm quite the criminal, you know."
Well, and whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? I mean, was there any investigation that took place there?
Well, the only investigation was about the whole maybe 30 seconds they were in the door, decided to grab me and start pulling me outside, and then threw me up against the car. Yeah, I got a couple bruises, whatever. And then they're trying to force my hands behind my back. I give them a little bit of resistance, but I know there's a line there as well. I didn't want to dig my hole any deeper than it needed to be. And then I let them put the cuffs on me. They put me in the back, and then we had some funny conversations because, of course, well, as I'm arrested in the back of the car, they're not wearing their mask properly underneath their chin and everything else, and they give me a ticket for not wearing a mask, right? It's total hypocrisy.
And you were literally criminalized, like handcuffed in the back of a cruiser for simply advocating for your mask exemption.
Yeah, and they knew I went there to play pool too, because not gonna lie here, I called the day before. I called Alibi Roadhouse the day before on the Friday night to see if they were open. It was around 11:30 or so, and I know they're closing everything early here. So I decided to call them. I says, hey, you guys, what time you open till? They told me 2 o'clock. I says, oh, right on. I says, maybe I'll come by tomorrow. I says, I don't wear a mask. I have an exemption. I says, I just want to make sure this is not going to be a problem. I says, because I got to cab it down there. And when I get there, I'm not going to be very happy if I get refused after just taking a cab ride down there. So I didn't think nothing of it to go down. I brought my pool stick with me, my own pool stick. So I didn't even need to borrow their equipment whatsoever. I had my own chalk, everything. And it was mounted on me. I'm ready to go the second I walk in the door. The tables were open. Why not, right? So I was thinking, no problem. Well, that changed fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm. And for the accountability, I mean, do you have a court date? Has anything been set for your fine?
No, not yet. I went down to the ticket place to fill out whatever I needed to. I get there around 1:30. This is back in middle of November. They're closed at like 1 o'clock. Like, it's ridiculous, right? They've shortened up the hours and everything else. And that's the other madness of the entire thing. They have shortened up the hours in all the stores, the restaurants, the pubs, and everything else, trying to limit the amount of people, not realizing they're bottlenecking the people in. So there's more people at one time, right? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I've been finding similar. So that's part of our Fight the Fines initiative here, is that you appeal or plead not guilty. You don't pay the fine. We're going to help you fight the fine. Rebel News will be crowdsourcing for your legal defense, which I'm sure will be much more than the $500 fine. So that is our initiative. We ask our Rebel viewers and Rebel fans to support our campaign and this initiative. We'll crowdfund the legal defense for you. Don't pay this fine. Let us fight it.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you very kindly.
So thank you, Deven, for coming on here with me at Rebel News. I look forward to seeing how these tickets hold up in front of a court, in front of a judge, and providing the evidence to see whether or not these have a constitutional leg to stand on. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. Have you had enough of the hypocrisy of the new normal? While bureaucrats and politicians issuing restrictions go on leisurely vacations where they're free to gather with friends and family unmasked, here in Canada, mask-exempt individuals are treated like criminals. If you face a fine under the new COVID laws, don't pay it. Fight it. If you want to donate to help offset the legal expenses for these cases, then please head over to fightthefines.com and chip in what you can. Again, that's fightthefines.com.